Hey everyone, this is Kirk here again at Option Alpha, and this is the B Day video, as I'm calling it. Pretty scruffy looking guy here on the video, but it seems like Ben Bernanke is the prophet right now for the market. So it's pretty funny how, I mean, honestly, everything it seems to be hinging off of what this guy says, if just even hints and glimmers this week of possible QE3 or any other type of monetary policy, and the markets took off. So tomorrow, Friday, is going to be a really important day for the markets, and it all hinges on what this guy's going to say. A lot of people think that he's going to announce some monetary policy. I actually, not like I know, obviously, but I don't think he will, only because I've heard him say, and I've heard a lot of other Fed members say that the full effects of QE1 and QE2 haven't even been cycled through the economy yet. So now, of course, I can always say that they're going to do a QE3, in which case I think that the markets rally. But they're running out of options, and that's the big thing. So I think you saw that today, pretty prevalent on the a that we had a little bit of hope, and we've definitely backed off today, and the markets were down pretty good across the board in anticipation of what's going to happen this coming up Friday. So we'll see what happens, but this is the guy that everyone needs to watch, obviously, and it's just kind of amusing that this one guy right now is kind of leading the market as far as broadly speaking. So if we actually get to the charts, I think a couple things are interesting, and I'll point out a bunch of things tonight, and hopefully this video won't take too long, but stick with me as always. And if you have comments, please post them to the video. I always like to hear the comments and questions and remarks. If you were watching any of the intraday charts on the indexes, it was pretty easy to tell that we weren't going to break up above these highs when the market opened today. So this is actually an intraday chart of the S&P 500 that we're looking at. And what I've just highlighted here is really a quick look at the last month or so in August, or the last couple of weeks here in August. And we've had a nice bounce off of the major bottom, and we rallied up into the 1185, 11 type 90 range, came back down, and again we've rallied right back up to that range. Now you can see here I've already put on this chart a really good hard support resistance line at 1185. It's pretty strong on the S&P, and it came up and it hit its head against resistance. Once it broke above it, it used it as support many times going forward, and now it's coming right back up to that area again and using it as resistance. And if I just zoom in here on today's actions, and this is today the 25th, you can see we opened right up to that level and then immediately came right back down. So it's very easy to see if you had any of these charts and these support resistance lines drawn, you could easily see where the market was going to encounter some selling pressure. So we rallied right up to it and came right back down. And I think that that's mainly why we stayed under it for most of the day. Just waiting to see where Bernanke talks, and that's what's really going to drive the market on Friday. So any type of QE3 obviously may lead the market higher, and this is a daily chart, so you can see what I was looking at over here. Broadly speaking, I think it's going to be really important that if we do get a little bit of a rally here on Friday, I think it's very important that we break 1200 on the S&P. That to me is going to be the real line in the sand. So we're very close to that level right now, but we need to firmly break above 1200, and then I think heading up to 1250 is going to be a breeze. I really do. I think it's going to be easy after that, but we have to get through that level first. On the downside, I think that if we start to see a sell-off, then obviously the major level to watch is 1125. And you can see that multiple times before in the past we've hit this level as resistance, support, going back even to June and July of last year, we've hit it as resistance, and now using it twice now as support, and it's a major 50% Fibonacci retracement level. So it's a real strong level, and if it does break, then we could be in for a little bit more selling pressure going into September expiration. So that's something to obviously keep an eye on. As far as the VIX is concerned, I think it's pretty good time to be an options trader if you're net selling options. So credit spreads, naked puts and calls, all of those are really good right now because premiums have stayed elevated. The VIX today was up 10%, and it has traded very much in the 35 to 40 range, which has been great. So that means on the S&P you can get options that are way down at 800 and 750. You can get really good premiums on some of those options if you're a naked option seller, and that's really going to give you a good distance from the market and a good margin for error here. I think again, if we get any type of rally, I think that this thing gets snapped back into place here. We're on the outskirts of kind of all the acceleration bands and all the Bollinger bands, all the real major extension bands on the VIX here. You can see that last time we had this type of move, it stayed up in this area for a little bit back in May, but once it started coming down, it came down pretty hard, and for the next month or so, just continue to fall. So if we do get a nice little rally tomorrow, I think that that's going to be really the end of VIX highs for a little while, and the VIX is going to come back down and settle around 25. That's usually what happens. It's going to settle right above support, which is this previous resistance now coming back as support. So it'll settle right in this type of range as we head into September. Some of the other big name stocks, obviously today, Apple took a pretty good hit early in trading, but actually recovered most of its gains and almost closed higher. That was a real big one. And then, of course, Bank of America was one of the other really big headlines, with Buffett investing about $5 billion into the company. So the stock had a really good jump today. And again, had a nice open and kind of traded all over the place throughout the day, but it did close up about 10%, so that's good. So we'll see what happens. This could be shaping up to be a nice island pattern, even though it's got too many candlesticks. Usually for a typical island pattern, you want to have a couple candlesticks, but if it does continue to if it does continue to move higher into the $9 range, then this could be a really powerful bottom if people start gaining some real confidence in Bank of America coming forward. So, as always, keep an eye on those, and hopefully you guys, or hopefully these videos are helpful and educational as always. And if you have any comments, please post them in the video. I always like to hear comments and questions and remarks. And we'll see what happens tomorrow with Uncle Ben and Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Happy trading.